Cards right now.
Well, the communities affected by the July 4th floods are waiting daily for word of state funding and where that will be going. Governor Greg Abbott is in Kerrville today for a press conference that is set to start in just an hour, and he will be announcing a new round of funding. Now, our Courtney Friedman will be covering this today and joins us live now at Louise Hayes Park in Kerrville. And Courtney, we have heard that this funding will be for housing.
Yeah, Stephanie, that's what we've heard as well. It is supposed to be a multi-million-dollar housing pledge to this area. And as we know, that is greatly needed. And here's a reminder of why. It's a month and a half out, and we're standing here on Louise Hayes Park by the amphitheater area, and the machinery is still here. Even though there are trees being cut down, there is debris. You can see these trees bent over where the water was. The river is far behind that, but there's so much damage in these areas still. And as you can imagine, the houses along this area that are that close to the river as well have been lost. So here's how this important funding works. The state approves grants and gives the money to either emergency services or to the main nonprofit that oversees local funding, which is the Community Foundation of the Hill Country. And then the Community Foundation is the organization that disperses the money locally where they believe it needs to go, because they're the ones who are in contact with the locals. As we know, let's take a look at this flooding from July 4th as a reminder of why this is so necessary. The damage from these devastating floods spanned dozens and dozens of miles, affecting about 5 towns hit very hard, but many in between those interspersed. More than 100 people died, houses and livelihoods were destroyed, and we've been out here a lot since July 4th, and we know there are so many people who lost their homes who still do not have funding towards long-term housing, and those people are hoping the announcement today will change that. The governor has said he is going to ensure recovery assets are disseminated to those who need it the most, but ultimately that does land with the Community Foundation, so we will definitely be asking them about those priorities. Now, the stage is being set behind me for the governor's arrival. There will be a panel at this press conference, so there will be 5 chairs set up there. One of them will be filled by the executive director of Airbnb's nonprofit foundation, which usually supplies some housing during crisis situations just like this one. So we'll be looking forward to hearing how Airbnb will be stepping in, or even has been stepping in, to help in this housing crisis here along the dozens of miles of the Hill Country that were affected by the river. We, of course, will be on this all day long into the evening, but for now, we're live in Kerrville. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Courtney, thank you. We look forward to hear what's going to happen with this funding. And looking out there with a live cam this afternoon, heating up to 88 degrees, but we know we have even more chances of rain today, Shelby.
Yep, that's exactly right, Steph. Now, the rain is still just to the west of San Antonio. Some areas have even seen some flash flood warnings, flash flood advisories. So here's the latest. This is a look at authority radar. This is the rain showers that some areas were seeing this morning. And yes, it's still moving very slowly and becoming very stagnant. It's still continuing to move and kind of develop just to the east in areas of Comfort, Medina Lake, Hondo, Castroville, Sabinal. That's where we're seeing a little bit more of those traditional thunderstorms, whereas just to the west near Lakey, Concan, Medina, that's where we're seeing just that more stagnant rain showers. But with that, we do have 2 flood warnings in effect. We do have one along the Guadalupe River in Kerr County right at Hunt, and then we also have this one that just popped up. This is a flash flood warning in effect for portions of Uvalde County. This includes Utopia, and this is why they've seen some heavy rainfall rates. Just take a look at the last 12 hours. Radar indicates that where you see those yellow colors, that's where you've already received about 2.5 inches of rain. Other areas on the southern end of this warning box where all that rain is expected to go, they've already received about 3/4 of an inch. In other areas, as we take a look around the rest of the region, let's do that query up in Kerrville. They've only received about maybe 1/10 of an inch because the heavier rain just formed just to the west and to the south, but the warning is still there as a precautionary tale for some folks. But western Kerr County, they already received about 2 inches of rain up just to the north of Lakey. Once again, 2.5 inches of rain. So that's why we do have some flood advisories in effect. What that just means is you get all those little ingredients that are there for the chance to see any sort of flash flood warnings or watches. So here's the main threats, and I'll leave you with this. We're still watching that chance for 2 inches of rain in some spots. Not everyone is going to see the 2 inches of rain, but it is still possible. And that's why we still have that chance for some minor street flooding, but also some stronger winds. We can see wind gusts up to about 40 miles an hour at times, and that's going to continue throughout the next few hours. And it is expected to make its way closer to San Antonio throughout the rest of the afternoon and even into the evening hours, with our temperatures still getting on the warmer side. I'll talk about the future cast of what you can expect with the rain, plus take a look at some of the rainfall rates coming up in just a bit.
I'm going to try just one more time. Just kind of yes or no, Mr. Holt. Is there an opposition to us seeking an independent economic study and allowing us additional time to engage with our constituents? Just yes or no, please.
I'm going to try one more time again. There's ample information that shows that this city deserves. This city deserves
order, please, order.
Well, as you can hear, City Council chambers lively today as people packed in to voice their opinions about the Project Marvel term sheet. And there are 2 choices here, pause or push ahead. So the 2 different paths forward on a funding deal for a new Spurs arena are up for a vote today. And our Garrett Beringer and RJ Marcus have been following this story. They're at City Council right now, and what we've been hearing so far from neighbors and local leaders.
Yeah, call this the City Hall halftime report.
There you go.
Right now we've got more than 100 people signed up to speak inside. We're only about halfway through that list. So this is probably going to go on for another hour or 2 before the council even gets a chance to really get down to the question. And that question is, what do they want to do? Do they want to pause this deal, this possible funding deal, or do they want to push ahead with it? Now, the mayor, Gina Ortiz-Jones, has been the one pushing for a pause. Under the current terms that they're going to be considering, the city would have to kick in up to $489 million for a new arena. So we're talking public money, and she says she wants a deal, but she wants to make sure that we have the best data and that we have public feedback first, because these terms just came out. She's questioned the validity of a previous economic impact report, which was done by a consultant for the Spurs. So she wants the city to pause on considering any terms until there's a new independent economic impact report, and that there are multiple meetings in each council district to get people's feedback. On the other side, we're hearing people say it's time to move ahead.
Right.
That this is a good deal. They want to go forward, and there's a vote coming up in November, so that's going to be on the county share. But seeing as this is all blended together, they say voters need to have the full picture.
Yeah.
We're seeing community groups in there, business groups, and a split on that line. We're actually hearing a lot more people critical of the deal so far. What do you think, RJ?
Yeah, I would say so, Garrett. And, this is kind of where I defer to you on basically what we've seen so far in City Hall. But I am personally surprised at the amount of folks that have signed up, not the amount of folks that signed up, but the amount that seemingly want to go ahead and go with the mayor's request for a pause here. There has been some folks that have supported the Spurs, the arena push. They're pro-arena. A lot of the folks that we saw at the rally that you covered yesterday, that included a lot of these local business leaders, a lot of folks that are, executives within the city of San Antonio. So this has really been kind of an interesting back and forth. In my discussions, Garrett, with the Spurs throughout this entire process, I think that going into today, they felt pretty confident that they would get the 6 votes needed from City Council. But I am really, really interested to see just generally how they are going to react to some of the public comments that we've been seeing here today, because I think even they may be surprised at the amount of folks that have come out and spoken against it.
It's true, but it's not so much the number of public comment. There was an old joke in City Hall, you show up for citizens to be heard, it was citizens to be ignored. So it's a question of whether or not they're going to listen to the folks who are coming in. The mayor has really tried to turn up the heat in the past couple of days. She's made a lot of public comments, urging people to talk to their council member, because, as you mentioned, it seems like this is likely to pass. From what we've been seeing, a majority of the council appears ready to approve the term sheet. And while the mayor's urging them to pump the brakes, she may not have the votes necessary to do that.
Right.
There's going to be 2 votes. One, whether or not they pump the brakes like the mayor wants, hold off on approving any deal. If that fails, then they're going to vote on the actual terms.
Yeah.
And then no matter what happens, you and I and other Bexar County voters are still going to decide or going to vote on this project coming up in November. But when the mayor asked, you heard earlier the mayor asking Peter J. Holt, the chairman of Spurs Sports and Entertainment, whether or not they opposed holding off.
Right.
Wouldn't give a yes or
Yeah.
no. Here's a more substantive answer that he gave early on.
I think there's tremendous data that exists. I think there's also a tremendous opportunity that we have between now and the election to create an awareness campaign and go out and talk to our constituents and your constituents and leave it up to them to vote in November if they support this project, which we are very positive about.
And there you heard from Spurs Chairman Peter J. Holt. And again, a bit of a surprise, interesting thing that happened there with the mayor calling him up to basically ask him yes or no, do you feel that more time is needed? And to Peter J. Holt's credit, they basically stuck to their main talking points, saying that they feel that this is a generational investment, that they are doing their part to be good partners with the city of San Antonio and Bexar County as well. But as I've been saying, Garrett, you mentioned this is halftime today. This is like game 3 of an NBA Finals because you got to win this one in order to get a game 4, and that's going to be the county vote in November.
Absolutely, and we'll be tracking that the whole way, no matter what the outcome is. Make sure you stay tuned to KSAT. We'll have the updates as they happen. Live outside City Hall, I'm Garrett Berger and RJ Marquez.
Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Garrett and RJ. We will be following this closely. Well, it is one of the biggest events in town, and although it's still months away, this noon we are learning some new details about the performances you can see. And we're connecting with the council. Our Ernie Zuniga went to the south side to find out what matters to people over there in District 3. Well, while the City Council debates the future of Project Marvel, today all 10 council members are also crunching the numbers as it relates to the city budget, which will be voted on next month. So leading the way in District 3 is Phyllis Villagran, and our Ernie Zuniga went to the south side to connect with the council.
Can you describe District 3 in one word?
Amazing is the word I'd use.
Phyllis Villagran can't brag enough about District 3. With recent growth at Brooks and investments at Texas A&M San Antonio, Palo Alto College, and Toyota, the push is to make District 3 a place to live, work, play, and stay. But that costs money, which may be tougher to come about this city budget cycle.
With the proposed deficits and maybe things being a little tighter this year, next year, I mean, you're going to have to make some pretty difficult decisions, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think that's where the conversation is really understanding where the decisions come from. Is it this or that, or is it this and half of this?
As it relates to spending, though, is it public safety? Is it infrastructure? What is the biggest priority on your list?
I think right now for District 3 in particular, it's public safety regarding the housing crisis and the homeless encampment. That was the big topic we had coming out of my town hall. Is what are we doing? Are we fully talking about the issue?
Right.
Are we just painting over and just saying mental health when it really is addiction issues that we need to be addressing, when it really is another issue in terms of people getting pushed out of their homes? What are the issues? Do we need more permanent supportive housing, which would be a resounding yes from me.
Right.
So I think that is kind of the conversation that they want to see have, is when we talk about public safety, we talk about how we're addressing the housing issue and crisis.
Lighting and public safety are also top of mind for Councilwoman Villagran. Again, paying for that may prove to be a challenge. The City Council will vote on the proposed 2026 budget on September 18th. Ernie Zuniga, KSAT 12 News.
Taking a look outside with live cam, it's quiet in San Antonio. However, it's a much different story in areas just to the west of us. Take a look at this. We have that marginal risk for some sort of flash flooding later today, especially including areas of San Antonio. But right now we're seeing most of the rain in areas of the hill country. I'll talk about what the rain is going to do. Take a look at the rainfall totals and even the area lakes and aquifers coming up after the break.
Welcome back. And I was looking at some of our cameras from outside, the TransGuide cameras. It looks overcast already, so maybe.
So yes, so we have a light cirrus and a cumulus deck in San Antonio, and that's because of the storms and the showers we're seeing in the hill country. Take a look at authority radar. It's still just to the west of us, and that is expected to move over to impact areas of San Antonio, but we're also expecting to see some redevelopment in areas later this afternoon, even into the evening hours. So here's a look at authority radar right now over the last 15-30 minutes or so. It's very slow moving, and you can really tell where we're starting to see more of that thunderstorm, the traditional thunderstorm activity is really right over Medina County. That's where we're starting to see a few more of that lightning strikes. But something to keep in mind is we do still have 2 flood warnings in effect. We have one for the Guadalupe River up in Hunt, from Hunt all the way to Kerrville, but not including Kerrville. And then we also have another that is a flash flood warning, not a river flood warning. That is for areas of Uvalde County, just including Utopia in the northeastern corner until about 3 p.m. And that's because they've seen not only the heavy rainfall rates, but heavy rainfall totals. Here's a look at the rainfall totals from the last 12 hours. This does include up until any rain we saw this morning and even into the later portion of what we currently are seeing. Where you see those yellow colors, that's where you're seeing the rainfall totals. Radar indicated of up to 2.5 to even areas up along I-10 up near Junction, 3.5 inches of rain. And this is what we've been talking about, is that chance to see some heavier rainfall totals as we go throughout the next few hours. In Medina Lake, just about 0.05 of an inch. Up in Kerrville, they've seen about 1/4 of an inch. Medina up about 1/10 of an inch. So some areas have received less than 1/2 inch of rain, but other areas have received much more. Here's the rainfall rates of the rain we're currently seeing in areas across south central Texas. I'll zone in and zoom in on areas near Concan, Sabinal, even in areas of Medina County, just to the northwest of Castroville, where you see that almost that purple dot. That's where you're getting about 4 inches or more for that rainfall rate. Just to the south of D'Hanis, 5.5 inches of that rainfall rate, meaning if it just stays raining with that same rainfall rate it's currently at for the next hour, they could receive about 5 inches of rain. The good thing is it's continuing to move and push out throughout the next few hours. So here's that look at the futurecast of what you can expect over the next few hours. Any of the storms we're currently seeing just to the west of us, that's going to continue over the next few hours, but we're also going to start to see some development in other portions of areas, including San Antonio can see some rain. And this is going to be important because it is going to impact after school pickup, after school activities, and even have a chance to impact your evening commute, especially because we're going to still see about a 60% chance of more showers and thunderstorms with the heavy downpours. And this continues as we go throughout the evening hours, finally starting to see a little bit of relief by about 9 p.m. tonight. Then we're going to start to just see some light shower activity, and even then that's going to be mostly in areas of the coastal plains. But we have another chance of some shower activity tomorrow. Tomorrow morning is going to be waking up relatively quiet compared to what we saw today. And even then, tomorrow is going to be only about a 30%, maybe even 40% chance of the shower activity, much quieter than what we're seeing today, but that chance for some shower activity and the heavy brief downpours is still possible. So keep in mind, today and tomorrow, we do have a few more chances of some showers and thunderstorms. 60% today. That's why air temperatures are still going to be a little on the cooler side. 95 tomorrow, but keep in mind, with the brief heavy downpours, we can see some localized isolated street flooding stuff.
We will watch out for that. Thank you, Shelby. Well, are you ready to rodeo San Antonio? Well, it might be months away, but we are all getting ready and excited for the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo. So after the break, our first look at some of the performers. Well, San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo officially announced some of its 2026 headline performers. So here's how the lineup is looking so far. Ty Myers performs noon on Saturday, Valentine's Day, February 14th. And you can see Shenandoah at 7 p.m. on Monday, February 16th. I know Ernie Zuniga excited about that one. And Miranda Lambert taking the stage at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, February 18th. You can also catch Shane Smith and the Saints. That's Saturday, 7:30 p.m., February 28th. And some of these artists are no strangers to the Alamo City. Miranda Lambert performed at the rodeo multiple times, including back in 2008, 2011, and 2012. Shane Smith and the Saints performed at the 2024 rodeo. So the rodeo will kick off on February 12th at the Frostbank Center and Freeman Coliseum Fairgrounds. The tickets are on sale right now, so we have a link for that on our website at KSAT.com.
Good afternoon. Taking a look outside with live cam here in San Antonio. It's relatively quiet. We haven't seen too much of the rain activity. That's been just to the west of us. However, it is starting to get a little more active, especially closer to areas of San Antonio. Right now, we're starting to see just some light shower activity, maybe even a rumble of thunder in areas just to the north of Helotes, but also down near Lytle, Somerset, even down towards Moore. That's where we're getting those very much isolated brief downpours we've been talking about over the last few days of what you can expect. But something we're also watching is this kind of normal, that widespread, just regular shower activity that isn't necessarily producing as much thunder or lightning as what it did earlier. That has been continuing to produce a few flood warnings. We do have that flood warning in effect for areas of Uvalde County. It's the northeastern corner. It does include areas of Utopia until about 3 p.m. today, but then we also have one just to the north along the Guadalupe River, just in Kerr County. It does go just right where the North and the South Fork meet near Hunt, Ingram. It doesn't make it all the way to Kerrville. That is in effect until about 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. This is also a little precautionary because it is still very saturated. They're still doing recovery efforts, so they haven't seen as much rain as other areas, but still something to keep in mind. And especially where we're seeing the heavier rain continue, that's where they're seeing temperatures in the low 70s, even some reports of those upper 60s. 72 degrees in Rock Springs right now, 77 in Kerrville, 73 in Hondo. Whereas if you basically take I-35 and just to the east, we're still sitting in the 80s, 88 in San Antonio right now, 95 in Cotulla, 95 in Laredo. So we still need the rain, not only because it's cooling our temperatures, but we're still in a drought. We still need about 15 inches of rain for the hill country over the next 6 months to get rid of our drought completely. In areas just to the southwest and to the south of San Antonio, we need about 17 inches, and just to the east, we need about 25 inches of rain. But this is over the next 6 months. So there is still some improvement. Now, the rain we get today did and will continue to improve our drought, but we also saw some rain last week that did improve the drought for areas of Medina County. I'll go over your future cast. What the rain we're currently seeing could help out with the future, but also take a look at the drought monitor of what the past rain has helped out in areas of just to the west of us. Coming up in just a bit, Steph.
Thank you, Shelby. Well, firefighters raced to a fire that spread to 2 homes and things quickly escalated. This noon, we are learning from firefighters that this all started at a shed, and that's when the flames jumped a fence and spread to 2 north side homes on the next block. So this was near Wetmore Road and Wurzbach Parkway. The San Antonio Fire Department telling us that one appeared to be vacant and for sale while the other was occupied. Now both homes were severely damaged and officials say that they are likely total losses. No one was hurt. Investigators, though, are still working to determine the cause. Well, a San Antonio teen accused of planning a mass attack against Rhodes Middle School was back in court this morning. So the teen so far only facing a prohibited weapons charge. In May, court documents show that the teen had expressed a desire to carry out acts of violence toward the school. He also showed up on campus wearing a mask, camouflage jacket, and tactical pants, according to police. Now, his mother, Ashley Pardo, also charged for allegedly buying him ammunition, magazines, and tactical gear. The judge today chose to keep the teen detained, saying that counseling has been working for him and he wants to continue to keep him safe. So his next hearing, scheduled for next week, where the latest in the case will be discussed. As for Pardo, she is out on bond and is awaiting indictment. The retrial of a man accused of killing a 75-year-old San Antonio woman continues today. R.C. Curtis faces capital murder charges in the 2015 death of 75-year-old Paula Boyd. Now, so far, the state has called up 9 witnesses. The trial is set to continue around 1:30 this afternoon, so KSAT will be live streaming it on all of our digital platforms. Well, there has been a lot of talk about budgets recently, and the city's budget shapes the services and the resources that we count on. City staff told City Council that revenue from property taxes, sales, airports, hotels, and development is growing slower than expected, which could leave the city about $10 million short this year and lead to a deficit of nearly $31 million next year. So the city wants your feedback and questions about the city's plans on spending. The city is holding budget town halls where you can learn about the proposed plan and ask your questions. You can scan a QR code and also look at our website for more information. Tonight, there will be a town hall for Districts 2 and 7 at the locations listed on your screen, both starting at 6:30 p.m. The city will vote on the budget on September 18th, and you can attend for free, but you will need to sign up if you want to participate. Well, hours ago, the League of United Latin American Citizens calling Texans to take action. It was in response to the Texas House of Representatives passing redrawn congressional maps. Now, the State House just a redistricting bill that could potentially send 5 more Republicans to Congress. The move follows a 2-week standoff when Democrats fled to the state to try to block that measure. Now, today, LULAC said that the move was racially motivated. The organization claims that nearly 25,000 Latino votes would be taken away in the redistricting.
It is not only immoral, it is also unconstitutional.
The bill now heads to the Senate. So once approved by the Senate, Governor Greg Abbott is expected to sign it into law. If that happens, LULAC says they and other organizations intend to go to federal court to stop the redistricting. Some lawmakers characterize the redistricting bill as a power grab. However, Republicans argue that the new maps strengthen their political chances. They have also framed the effort as a response to Democratic gerrymandering elsewhere. Well, happening later today, families looking to find out more about the new education savings accounts or school vouchers can attend a town hall meeting put on by a nonprofit. So the new law goes into effect in September, but the money will not be beneficial to families until the 2026-2027 school year. So families who have children with disabilities and those with siblings are at the top of the list to be prioritized. Then it's low-income families, middle class, and others. So the School Discovery Network, a local nonprofit, is hoping to get families ready to register for the Education Savings Accounts program once it launches. Now, when that will happen is still not clear. It will be up to the Texas Comptroller's Office to manage the registration and the accounts. Experts say it might be before enrollment season, which is in January and February. Here's what families can do while they wait.
This is a great time to be doing research. Now, unfortunately, we don't know yet exactly which private schools will be accepting ESA money, but families can still start doing research. The more families can learn about which private schools might have a learning model that suits their kids, find out what's the tuition cost at that private school, how much of that would be covered by the ESA. Those are questions that they can start researching now.
Well, School Voucher Town Hall will be happening tonight. This is from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Vineyard Christian School on Huebner Road. Information will also be available in Spanish. Well, just in time for flu season, an option that doesn't involve needles or a visit to a doctor's office. A look at this new vaccine and how you can try it for yourself.
Hurricane Erin churning up the East Coast, bringing dangerous waters. I'm Olivia Rubin at Rockaway Beach with the latest coming up.
Well, the Atlantic season's first major hurricane still churning off to the East Coast, and Erin is hundreds of miles wide and now just over 200 miles off the North Carolina coast. Officials urging people to stay out of the water. ABC's Olivia Rubin has more from New York's Rockaway Beach.
Overnight conditions deteriorating along the East Coast as Hurricane Erin churns closer to shore. The storm's outer bands hitting North Carolina's Outer Banks. Dangerous surf crashing ashore, threatening homes and businesses.
We do have a number of threatened oceanfront structures. These are houses that no longer have a protective dune in front of them. They're very vulnerable to the waves, to the high surf.
The high swells flowing over this dune and flooding Highway 12, the main road running the length of the islands. A portion of it closed down overnight. North Carolina's governor pre-positioning swift water rescue teams and National Guard troops, urging drivers to stay away from flooded roadways.
Don't do it. You do not know how deep the water is or how fast it is running.
Utility crews in Dare County standing by, ready to respond to any power outages. The massive hurricane now growing in size as it moves towards the northeast. The storm causing powerful rip currents from Florida to Maine.
It's brutal. It's so strong out there, and the undertow is honestly dangerous.
Many beaches shut down, including in New York City, where these surfers couldn't resist the waves that could reach up to 20 feet high today. Officials on the New Jersey shore warning people to not only stay out of the water, but off the beach entirely.
You can get a rogue set of waves coming in, and if you're on the beach, comes in, it'll take your feet right out from under you and pull you right out.
Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Taking a look outside with live cam, we don't have any sort of hurricanes to worry about here in South Central Texas, just some light rain showers. But Hurricane Erin did make its turn last night into this morning, so it is still producing some rain and producing the riptides and the wind gusts to areas of the northeastern seaboard. But for us in San Antonio, like we've been mentioning, we're tracking some heavy rainfall now making its way closer to San Antonio and to the south. I'll chime it out for you, plus take a look at the drought monitor and area lakes and reservoirs coming up after the break.
Welcome back. Still looking at those cameras, waiting for the rain chances here locally. Not in the downtown area, though, not yet.
Not yet. I know a lot of people earlier this week were seeing the rain push through areas of San Antonio, basically like 281 was that border. But right now, areas just to the west of San Antonio are seeing the rain. Now, it will continue to make its way closer to areas of South Central Texas, specifically the Alamo City, over the next little while, but it still might take a little time, and even then it still might be very isolated. I'll loop this over the last 30 minutes or so you can kind of see the progression and the fact that it's very slow moving. It's moving mostly just to the north, or from the north just to the south. But even then, it also is moving very, very slow, so they're not very progressive. They're very stagnant, which is why we do have those few warnings, that flood warning and that flash flood warning along the river and for areas of Uvalde County, like I showed you earlier, because these are very slow moving. But one area I want to watch is up in Bernie, between Comfort now to Bernie. It has continued to move very slowly, but it also is producing plenty of lightning. It had just gone through Sisterdale. It is just about to approach Bernie, and I'll even time this out over the next little while. If you're along this little thunderstorm cell, over the next little while at Bernie High School at about 1:15, you'll see this thunderstorm. In Bernie, just a few minutes after, Champion High School at about 1:16, and even Geneva School at about 1:30. That's the strongest one we're currently seeing. Yes, you see some other ones just to the south near Crystal City and Pearsall, but as I switch radar sites in between to show you, it's all because of the radar site closest to us in New Braunfels. It shows that the storm is actually stronger and more powerful because of the tilt of the radar. Whereas if I switch radars, it just looks like a normal thunderstorm for some people. So that's something to keep in mind as you're going through. But another area that I want to watch is the drought. Here's the latest drought monitor. It is updated every Thursday. The main difference is up in the hill country, up in Kerrville and even up towards Gillespie County, they're no longer in that moderate drought or even that dry drought. Portions of very southerly corner of Kerr County are still in that dry, but another area that did have some major change is Medina County. As you remember last week and the last few weeks, Medina County, where you saw that exceptional drought up near Divine, that was up including Hondo, up including Medina Lake. That's continued to push down, and now they're just in that extreme category. So although they're still dry, and even Bexar County is still in that extreme drought, there has continued to be some improvement. And take a look at the area lakes. We're talking about Medina Lake and Canyon Lake. Those are the two major lakes and reservoirs near us. Just over the last few months, since June 21st, Medina Lake is actually up just over 13 feet. And even Canyon Lake, they saw all the water come up from the Guadalupe. They're up 15 feet alone from June 21st. So there is still some improvements for the rivers and the area lakes and reservoirs, although not everyone is seeing and continuing to see the rainfall continuing to fall at one point. They're still seeing that chance for the rain and the effects. Now here's that futurecast once again. Over the next few hours, we're still tracking that chance of that widespread showers and some thunderstorms just to the west, but we're also tracking that chance for more of these isolated downpours to really become more widespread. Talking about a 60% chance for us here in south central Texas to see some of these thunderstorms. But the good news, after, it might have some effect on your evening commute and after school pickup and even after school events. But by around sunset tonight, that's when we start to see an improvement. Just seeing some light shower activity, and overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, we're just left with that cloud coverage. And I'll leave you with the 7-day for now, because yes, we do have that 60% chance, but not everyone is going to see the 2 inches of rain. Some areas might just see that ½ inch. Some areas might not see any rain at all. That's why we're still having that 60% chance of rain today. 40% tomorrow for those isolated brief downpours, 20 on Saturday, and then we're finally starting to dry out for portions of us here on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But Steph, once again, we start to see another chance of some light shower activity return as we start off the middle portion of next week.
All right, Shelby, thank you. For the first time this flu season, many Americans will have the option to give themselves the flu vaccine. How this new at-home flu vaccine will work. The FDA is warning consumers not to eat certain shrimp sold by Walmart because of possible radioactive contamination. So they are 3 lots of great value brand raw frozen shrimp sold in 13 states. Now all 3 have a best buy date of March 15, 2027. Consumers should throw them out. So repeated low dose exposure to cesium-137 can elevate cancer risk. So you can contact your medical provider if you suspect that you've been exposed to elevated levels of the radioactive isotope. This all started when U.S. Customs and Border Protection alerted the FDA that CS-137 was detected in shipping containers at 4 U.S. ports. The FDA then detected it in a sample of breaded shrimp distributed by an Indonesian company. Well, there's a new flu vaccine option. It's called Flu Mist, and you can take it at home, but it's not for everyone. CNN's Mandy Gaither explains who can take it and what the vaccine will cost.
It's the only nasal spray flu vaccine in the U.S. FDA approved for use at home. Flu Mist Home can be self-administered by adults under 50 and can be given to children as young as 2.
It's delivered with cold packs in a cold chain shipping model, and actually one of the great steps is when you receive your dose, there's a temperature tag that gets scanned to ensure that it stayed in the right temperature throughout the entire shipping process and that it's safe and ready to use.
The vaccine nasal spray is now available for home delivery in 34 states. It can be ordered online after a brief medical screening questionnaire, which will be reviewed by a licensed healthcare provider before the vaccine is prescribed. It's covered by most commercial insurance companies with a fee of $8.99 for shipping and handling.
It's quite easy to administer. All they do is take it out of its packaging, put it into one nostril, spray the device, remove a clip from the middle, and then spray it into the other nostril.
Last flu season was unusually severe. Preliminary estimates from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention suggest that between October 2024 and May 2025, there were up to 82 million illnesses, 1.3 million hospitalizations, and 130,000 deaths from flu. At the same time, the CDC says less than half of kids and adults in the U.S. had gotten an annual flu vaccine.
Knowing that they can bring Flu Mist home right into their home and vaccinate on their schedule, the time they want, no waiting in line, makes it very manageable.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, welcome back, and it's time to choose the best of the best, and we want to hear from you. So voting is now open for SAPicks 2025. We asked viewers to choose San Antonio's top businesses. We're talking from restaurants to dog groomers, even to HVAC companies and more. So we received thousands of nominations across nearly 100 categories. Each category was then narrowed down to 3 to 8 finalists based on the number of nominations. So take a look at the list of finalists on our website, KSAT.com. This QR code will take you to that page. And don't forget to vote for your favorites. You can vote for each category once per day.
I know I definitely was voting and looking at it for just recommendations in general. It's great.
Fun.
Take a look at Authority Radar. We're still seeing that more widespread chance of and band of the showers continuing to kind of diminish, but what we're going to start to see more, especially what we're already seeing, is those quick little pop-ups and downpours. Starting to see one just at the Bexar and Atascosa County line. So we'll keep you posted on that over the next few hours. If we need to jump on air, we can, but otherwise we'll keep you updated on social media and our streaming services with the latest radar throughout the day, Steph.
All right, well, it's good to get some rain in the area, though.
Yes.
Thank you, Shelby. Thanks for joining us. Have a good afternoon.